Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be talking about the disastrous release that was Cyberpunk 2077. It's a train wreck, and I'm not just talking about the game itself. As y'all probably already know, CG Projekt Red has made some questionable decisions revolving around the game. First of all, the game is just really glitchy. And it doesn't look great, especially on consoles, specifically the base Xbox One and Ps4. They shared in a tweet that they weren't focused on consoles, but instead they were focused on the PC and made that a priority, which is weird because the Ps4 and the Xbox One have been out for quite some time, and Cyberpunk has been teased forever now, and it's been in development since, I want to say, it's been 8 years since it was announced. So to have this information revealed is just mind-blowing. Why wouldn't you focus on the PS4 and Xbox One? They should have at least kept it exclusive for next gen and PC, because if they're already going to focus their priority on PC, then why even bother with PS4 and Xbox One? They even went as far as to send big news outlets PC versions of the game only, but not the console versions. That's a big yikes. I got the game day one because I was going to do a review on it, and after 6 to 8 hours of playing, I didn't really want to continue. Not at the moment at least, not until major updates come to the game, which CD Projekt Red confirmed. But I still want to go over my thoughts on the game, because the game overall was still made by a development team that really cared about the project, and you can really see the potential that this game had. And maybe in the future, after updates and all that, we'll see the potential realized. Because like I said, the game was obviously created by talented people, and I believe it's those higher up that keep screwing up the company's reputation. And now the developers who made the game are suffering because of those higher up, making all the bad decisions in the world. Now the developers have to make major fixes to the game, specifically the console versions. Hopefully they still get their bonuses, but still, this is more crunch for them, which I just feel awful for. But let's just go ahead and go over the game. But keep in mind that the footage that is captured is on PS4 Pro. So my experience might be better than the base PS4 and Xbox One, but not better than the next gen consoles and PC. So just keep that in mind. So let's get into this thing. The world is the best part of this game. Night City itself is a character with unique and varied locations. You got different districts throughout the city, and the outskirts even are just filled with character. I feel like there's a lot of buts with this game because while the world is just so amazing, the performance doesn't do any of the world any favors. You can just tell that they put a lot in just the world itself. There's different layers to structures, and there's more doors you can go into than I thought was possible. There are some doors you wouldn't think you could go through, but you can technically, even though it's locked, for me at least, at my lower level. There's so many interesting characters in this world, each one with different personalities and motivations that keep them going in this world, different philosophies that they believe in, and you really get a feel for them throughout the game. I'm sure there will be some fan favorites in here. Along with good characters, the dialogue is pretty interesting too. It's not as groundbreaking as I thought it might be, but overall it's really good. I personally picked the street kid as my backstory, and there are some options to go with it, and I think that's pretty cool, honestly. It doesn't really change the gameplay as far as I'm aware. Maybe it does in certain situations. I don't know. I haven't encountered that, so that's nice. So far, I'm really liking the main story, but the side quests are really interesting as well. You'll get some funny ones, you'll get some weird ones, but overall, they're varied, and more importantly, they're just interesting. That and V's character, your character, really shines through in my opinion. Just the different dialogue options they give you. You can really see his or her personality through that. The cybernetic upgrades are really cool, and this is probably the best upgrades you can get in the game. Now, of course, there's skill trees, but of course they make a difference, just very small increments. You don't feel a huge jump, but with these cybernetic upgrades, wow. Like there's one upgrade you can get with your legs, which allows you to double jump. And then there's also these arm upgrades that give you blades in your arms. That's pretty cool, and I love the customization there. I wish the skill tree was a little bit more like that, but I'm glad to see it here nonetheless. Character customization is pretty deep, both in character creation and in just the world itself. Although I made my hair pink on accident, the hair color looked brown for whatever reason, and I thought it was it. Turns out it's pink. I don't know if it was just my eyes being my eyes or the game's fault. Probably more on me this time around. Yeah, so I don't know if you can change it later, but either way, the character customization is pretty good. Although, I didn't really need genital customizations. That's not why I play video games or RPGs for that matter. I don't know, I thought that was pretty pointless, like, I don't care, you know? But yeah, character customization other than that is pretty good. Now for the bad stuff, which is the rest of the game. I'm kidding, but kinda not. Let's get into it. So, the gameplay isn't an overall smooth experience. Combat especially, I don't know what it is about it. Sometimes it's smooth, like I think the melee is pretty smooth, although it's not really dynamic in any way. You're just kind of flailing your arms around. It kind of reminds me of Skyrim combat, which isn't the most complex or interesting battle system, but it's there nonetheless. I don't know, something about the gunplay, it isn't as snappy as I would like it to be. It's not like the levels of Call of Duty, where the movement and just like aiming down sights just feel quick and snappy. I don't know, something about it is off, and I can't really explain it. It's not a bad experience, it's just a little off. Loading up menus can take a little bit, especially the radio. My goodness, why does it take so long to get up the radio? You'll be driving and then you'll just pull up the radio and you'll just stop for a second, just waiting for the radio to go up. It doesn't make me want to listen to the radio or even check out some of the stations because it just stops you where you're at. It comes up eventually, but it really just kills the momentum of gameplay for me. Then just bring up your inventory. It's a little slower on PS4, and I'm assuming it's the same for Xbox One. I don't know, maybe they have this fixed on PS5 and, you know, PC and Series X, but as of Pro and base consoles go, yeah, it's just a little slow. Textures have to load in often, leaving streets and people lifeless. If you're driving through the streets really fast, you know, like you would in a open world RPG like this, get ready to see some PS2 worthy textures, because wow. It's like the textures are trying to catch up, which they don't until you stop at your destination. Also the character models, holy crap, them trying to load in. It's weird, it's oddly jarring just to see these polygonal beings. They kind of remind me of the guys off of Spy Kids, the little thumbs. That are the polygon dudes from Super Smash Bros. I don't know, it just seems weird to see in a AAA title like this. Like a beta or alpha or something. The frame rate at times can be horrendous, especially in heavy populated areas. So like the city itself, especially outside of V's apartment, or at least because I'm a straight kid, I don't know how it is for the other ones, but outside the apartment, holy crap, things just go downhill. Sometimes the frame rate can be good. Now again, I'm playing on the Pro, so sometimes it can be good, but then it just drops, like in combat, or again in heavy populated areas. It's just kind of weird seeing that all around. It can get in the way of gameplay. It's not too bad. Like, it doesn't completely kill my enjoyment, but it can get in the way, especially just walking out of your apartment. There are pop-ins everywhere. Sometimes there'll be phones just floating in the air, guns even, and NPCs especially show up out of nowhere.
He'll run you out of biz!
You'll be walking down an alleyway one moment, and then all of a sudden, NPCs will just pop up out of nowhere. NPCs themselves tend to duplicate. You'll be seeing twins everywhere in this game, just walking right beside each other, or just like crossing each other. Maybe that's how it is in the future, but I don't know. I need a good explanation on that one because I see them everywhere, wearing the same clothes, looking the exact same, and for a future that's focused on more customization and individuality, it's jarring to see so many NPCs that look alike in this world. And while on the topic of NPCs, they are really dumb, both in combat and on the streets. Speaking of NPCs, the AI in general is just straight up dumb. The enemies that you fight in combat just kind of just sit there, just standing there shooting at you. They'll get into cover sometimes, but often I just walk up to them, shoot them in the face, and then they just go run away. The NPCs on the streets also are just mindless. Like looking at GTA gameplay again, wow, you can see a huge difference. Especially in the traffic. My goodness, let's talk about the traffic real quick. It is lifeless. I've hit several NPCs accidentally. I try to drive normal, but I accidentally hit some, and I don't know if there's supposed to be cops or someone to be like, hey, don't hit that pedestrian, but nothing's happening. I don't know if that's part of the game at all, but I feel like it should be, or at least some reaction to it. NPCs don't really react to when you shoot someone or, you get into a gunfight. They run away, but they don't do anything other than just like sit there and just stare at you. It's very jarring and just very weird. And the streets themselves, when you're driving, I found a lot of streets just straight up empty without any cars driving on it or anything. They're just kind of there just for you to drive on. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to actually drive and not have too many obstacles in a way, but the world just feels so lifeless without cars moving and people crossing the street and all that stuff. It just feels dead. Which for a game about being in the future in this night city, you'd think there'd just be more cars driving around. The game often freezes, and this happens especially when you're entering new areas or if you're driving too fast. It's like the game just tries to catch up to you. If you try to do anything fast in this game, especially on the last gen consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One, it seems like the game always tries to catch up to you, which is a shame because, if you're a person who just wants to get things done and not dilly-dally, then you're gonna be hitting these moments quite frequently. It doesn't happen all the time, but it will happen to you. And that's not a good thing. So far, I had one hard crash, and I fell through the world at one point. And that wasn't it. It was a loop, so I kept falling through the world. I also got straight up stuck in a room. Like I couldn't get out the door because the quest thought I already left the area, but I was still in that room and I couldn't get out the door. So I was just sitting there stuck. So I had to load an earlier state to get out of there. So here's a heads up. If you have this game, I would save as often as possible. The game can actually be really fun in certain areas, especially in the intro. The intro, for some reason, was really well done in my opinion. Yeah, there's some pop-ins and maybe low textures, and the lighting and graphics wasn't as good as they initially showed, but other than that, it ran pretty good. Like I was having a really good time in that intro, and then once the world opened up, all of these problems started happening, and it's really a big shame because that intro lets you believe that, oh wow, this game actually might be really fun and really cool. And it can be at times, but man, the bugs and glitches really do bring down the experience. I don't mind a few bugs here and there in my games, but this is just way too much. And it's really in your face about it. It's like the game is actively against you and tries to show you glitches every chance it gets. That, and with everything going on with CD Projekt Red, with them purposely holding back PS4 and Xbox One footage, just trying to hide that gameplay from us, it really leaves a bad taste in your mouth. The game obviously should have been cooked longer, especially for the last gen consoles. Like I said, I've been playing on PS4 Pro, and while it's technically playable, it's far from ideal. This is a huge problem because Cyberpunk was announced before the PS4 and Xbox One's release, which makes me question CD Projekt Red's motives when it comes to releasing the game. In my opinion, the PS4 and Xbox One generations should have had the priority over next gen, or at the very least cancel PS4 and Xbox One because the consoles are obviously struggling. But what's even more weird is that we've seen games that look far better and have far more detail than this release on the PS4 and Xbox One, both base forms. We've seen games like God of War, Last of Us, and that's just on Sony's side, but of course there's Gears of War and Halo games and Sea of Thieves, all these games which all of them look far better and run so much smoother than this game. it really stinks because a lot of people have those base forms. They have the base PS4 or Xbox One. Most people have those consoles. I can't imagine the base PS4's performance because the PS4 Pros isn't much better. If you have a base PS4, let me know below what your experience has been. Or if you have a PS4 Pro or Xbox One or Xbox One S or X, let me know because I'm curious how everyone else's experience have been. I've seen people online saying, oh, they haven't had as many glitches, or them having a next-gen console, they still have glitches, just not as many. I'm really curious what your experience has been. Or have you even gotten it? Because if you're on the outside, then congrats. Because holy crap, this has been one heck of a disaster for CD Projekt Red. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.